The hills of eastern Washington keeps resurfacing. A bottomless pit said to be a pathway to the...
What if a camera was lowered into a mysterious hole so deep, so silent, and so strange that what it captured terrified the entire world? This isn't just another internet myth. It's the story of Mel's Hole, a place the government denies exists, and yet people keep disappearing trying to find it. From eerie radio calls to a vanishing expedition, this is the one mystery that keeps staring back. Stay with us, because what's inside this hole will haunt you. Mel's Hole was just a rumor. Until millions heard the truth, no one thought that a radio call from 1997 would lead to one of the strangest secrets the internet has ever brought back to life. Still, that's what happened when a man named Mel Waters called the late-night show Coast to Coast AM, which is known for looking into strange things. Millions of people heard him that night, and he raised a question that still hasn't been answered. What is at the bottom of Mel's Hole? Not to scare people, Mel didn't call in. He wasn't trying to get famous or sell a book. He said that he owned some land close to Ellensburg, Washington. It had a hole in it that didn't follow any natural rules. There is no sound. He kept putting fishing line into it, one spool at a time, for miles and miles. It went in for more than 15 miles, but it never hit anything. Not dirt, not water, not rock, just endless black. That should have been the end of the story. It wasn't, though. The more people learned about this bottomless pit, the stranger the details became. Mel said that dogs wouldn't go near it. Birds didn't even want to fly over it. As if it were holding its breath, the air around the hole felt denser. Mel said that people in the area had been throwing away old fridges, trash, and even dead animals there for decades. But when things went down, they never made a sound. No change, not a bounce, nothing but silence. The hole seemed to swallow everything it touched. Then the stories from people who had lived there before Mel. The area was named by some Native American groups. They didn't use those names lightly. They said it was cursed, a way to get to a place that isn't meant for people. People were told not to go there because the land was strange, not because of ghosts or monsters. They thought the hole wasn't really in the ground. There was something old and out of place about it. There were tests done on it before it became a big deal on the internet. With a leash, with rocks, with tools made at home. It didn't work. It was too big to measure. No one ever did find the bottom. But when they were done, they all felt the same way, like the ground had eyes. Years went by. The call got lost in old radio shows. Then something happened that made everything come back. A set of locations that got out. A strange area of land that can be seen on satellite pictures. A message on a website promoting conspiracy theories states, "We found it." What had been a scary story to read before bed became an addiction all of a sudden. People on TikTok began posting videos of their hikes through the woods of eastern Washington. Reddit posts kept track of the land that the government bought near Manistash Ridge. Expeditions were planned by drone pilots. It was a question that everyone had. Was the hole still there? What's inside if it were? That's where everything changed. Because people weren't just telling stories this time. They brought technology with them. Winches, cameras, drones, and sensors. They were going to do more than look at the hole. It was going to be recorded. They were going to show it. Indeed, that's what they did. There was another event, though, before the camera went dark. Mel had warned about this event years before. People from the government showed up. But here's the thing. If the laws of science say Mel's Hole can't exist, then why did the government move so fast to shut it all down? And why did Mel vanish right after? The deeper the hole, the louder the silence. When Mel's story first came out, experts moved quickly to shut it down, not with arguments, but with facts. A hole like the one Mel described can't exist based on physics, geography, and everything else we know about the Earth's crust. It goes against how the Earth is made. First, know this. The lower you go underground, the hotter and denser everything gets. Rock doesn't just sit there for a while. It starts to move, melt, and crush. If you could dig straight down more than a few miles, the pressure would be enough to break down the walls around you. Still, Mel said he dropped 15 miles of fishing line and didn't hit anything, not even heat. Now look at the Kola super deep borehole in Russia, which is the deepest hole ever dug by humans. It took 24 years for Soviet experts to finish that project, but they could only go 7.6 miles before they had to stop. Why? The heat. Their tools stopped working because the ground got too hot. It was impossible to drill any further because the rock was like plastic. Scientists said that the environment was hostile and almost impossible to measure correctly even at that depth. Geologists laughed when Mel said that he had used only a pulley and rope to make his garden hole more than twice that deep. No movement of material. There were no earthquakes. No instability on the surface. Scientists knew what Mel's hole was and how it worked. It was just not possible. But if it was so clear that the hole wasn't real, why didn't the government just ignore it? That's where things began to go wrong. Mel said that soon after his first public appearance, cars that weren't marked started showing up near his house. He saw tire marks where there weren't any before, traces left by heavy shoes. Some people are watching from afar. Then one day, when he got home, it was totally blocked off by men in yellow hazmat suits and clipboards who weren't answering any questions. Suddenly, he couldn't go to his own land. What reason did they give? Because of safety concerns. Entry had been limited because of what was thought to be a plane crash nearby. Mel didn't see any damage, though. Not any rescue teams. No news stories. Please stay away from this person. The deal then came. Mel says he was offered a huge amount of money, $25,000 a year, but he had to leave the country and never talk about the hole again. They told him they might make things hard for him if he refused. Those that wouldn't go away. Mel said that one official even said that they found an illegal lab on his land, which would have been enough to jail him for life. It didn't matter if the danger was real or just extra pressure. It was very clear. Leave, or we'll make you wish you had. He left because of this. Mel got on a plane and flew to Australia. Not a trial. No news stories. Just left. He stayed abroad for years and was never seen or heard from again. Then, just when everyone thought he was gone for good, he came back. Mel came back in 2002. He called the same radio show, but he didn't sound like himself this time. His voice was toned down, not as fast. He had trouble remembering things. He said that he couldn't remember everything. He had some strange scars on his body that he couldn't explain. Medical procedures that he didn't remember having. He talked about waking up in places he didn't know. He felt like someone or something had cleaned up parts of his life. It was clear that he wasn't the same person who first got people interested in a hole in the woods. He still believed everything he said, though. Not only about the first pit in Washington, but also about a second one in the Nevada desert. A hole that is even better guarded. And a lot worse. It wasn't about fishing line or creepy silence in that part of his story. This time, it was about something inside. Something that didn't just break the geology rules. The Internet Awakens most people thought that the tale of the hole would go away with Mel Waters when he disappeared again in 2002. But for some reason, the Internet always finds things that people are trying to hide. The story of Mel's hole became popular again years after the last radio call, but this time it wasn't on the airwaves. Instead, it was on Reddit threads, TikTok videos, and YouTube rabbit holes that got a whole new generation looking for something that science had never proven and the government had never denied. It began with uploads again. Someone cut up Mel's original radio interviews and put them online as creepy videos with names like "The Deepest Hole on Earth the Government Doesn't Want You to Find." That's when explainer threads on Reddit with timelines, maps, and ideas set up like crime scene boards for cold cases came about. The story was told by teens over footage of misty woods and backcountry trails on TikTok, and the app asked users if they were brave enough to go look for the story. No longer were people just interested. They were crazy about it. Then, someone said something in a quiet part of a fringe discussion that mad.
Everything different. The user's name was DepthWalker33, and they posted a satellite picture and a list of GPS locations. It looked like nothing at first, just a patch of wild land near Manistash Ridge, Washington. But when I zoomed in, I saw it. A perfect, round area with no trees, grass, or paths going in or out. It looked like the ground was gone. No marks, no shadows, and no reason. It was just a bald spot in the middle of a thick forest. Users checked the address against public records. In a strange way, it matched Mel's original, hazy instructions from the late 1990s. Something strange happened just as people were digging deeper. The pictures from space were changed. The area became fuzzy all of a sudden, like how secret military bases are sometimes hidden on public map tools. That was the proof that a lot of people didn't even know they were looking for. The internet caught fire in just a few hours. There were a lot of
Theories in the comments. Was the hole something made by aliens? A place to test gravity weapons? A tear in space left over from faraway civilizations? Some people said it was a naturally formed vertical lava tube that went all the way down to the mantle. Others were sure it wasn't real and might have been made by a long-dead society or something that wasn't human at all. People thought it might have been a dimensional split, which means it was a place where reality got thinner. They said that things didn't make noise when they were dropped in because they didn't fall. They broke up into a different area or a different world. That could be why the government moved so fast. Not because it was deep, but because it was wide open. 10 years ago, these ideas might have seemed crazy. It wasn't just late-night radio anymore, though. People were interested in crazy ideas on the internet, and anyone with a drone and a backpack could help with the research. People stopped just talking all of a sudden. They were leaving. With gear, small groups started going into the Washington woods. Drones, a LiDAR, sensors for heat, radar for penetrating the ground. These were not just ghost hunters or kids who were bored. Some of them were engineers, amateur scientists, and former soldiers who were interested in survival. A message board wasn't where they were looking for proof. They had to be there to see it and record it with their own gear. The reports began to come in. A group said that their GPS got mixed up near the location. Another group said that their drone signal went out as soon as it crossed the clearing's edge. As one person stood near the middle, they said they felt sudden pressure in their chest. Some people heard static in their mics, even though they couldn't see any electronics around them. Cameras sent into Mel's hole. The group didn't bring any ideas or shovels. They had plans, steel cases, and gear that looked like it belonged in a military lab with them. It wasn't just another group of curious hikers with cell phones and lanterns. It was the year 2023, and someone was going to drop a camera and show the truth for the first time since Mel Waters did it with fishing line. There were 5 of them. They were producers, drone operators, and skeptics who had been looking for secrets like this for years. Their only goal was to go down into the hole, write down everything, and make sure that no part of the process was missed. They didn't stream live. They didn't ask people to follow them. It was not about hits. It was about proof. They put together the rig at the edge of the area, a custom-built attached drone that is strong enough to work in places with high pressure. It had a live data connection, a 4K camera for low light, and thermal and infrared sensors on board. The wire was made for heavy use and was made to withstand heat, tension, and interference. There were 2 tests of every part of it before the mission. They didn't want to risk anything. Not with this. Everything was ready by morning. There was a mist around the drone as its lights flickered in the air as the winch started to slowly let go. First the camera fell, then the thick wire, which wound deeper into the dark. Above, everyone on the team was crowded around the screen. The feed was clean, clear and steady, not a static. No messing around. As they moved by, all that could be seen was the stone wall's smooth, almost shiny surface. It was quiet for the first few hundred feet. The walls looked too smooth. They almost looked like they had been cut, not by nature, but by people. There were no animal tracks, no dust, no roots, and no signs of weathering. Nothing but quiet. It was so quiet that it felt heavy. The sound feed also didn't have anything. There's no sound, no flow of air, nothing but empty space that takes up all the space around it. After that, the temperature began to drop. Not slowly, but quickly. There were warning lights on board when the numbers dropped well below what should have been possible at that depth. The temperature around the drone was in the range of places where polar ice shelves are common, but the wire didn't frost. The team didn't say a word as they watched the numbers go down and the feed keep going. From about 300 feet away, something flickered away. A flash of light. Not crazy or bright, just a glow. Beat-like. Almost on time. Like it had breath. The camera was moved and focused in to try to find the source. There was nothing that the light hit. It did not act like thought. It came from deeper, but no one could see where it came from. It flashed again, but this time it was stronger. Then it stopped. At 400 feet, The glow came back, but this time it looked like glass that has been shined. It looked like the wall was moving. The colors on the feed started to look off, and the magnetic sensors picked up a wave that was real, but not very strong. A change in the electric field around it. The compass readout became crooked. The drone started to drift, but not in a real way. It looked like space was getting longer. The group stayed on task. They kept track of every second, but there was a different quality to the quiet. It was no longer just quiet. It felt like someone was watching. Everything froze at 580 feet. Something showed up on the screen. It wasn't a mistake or a blur. It looked like a shape, being in the space between the camera eye and the wall. A tall, thin shape that wasn't moving. It wasn't faceless. Not any color. It was there, though. Still. Waiting. The feed then stopped. Not a warning. Not static. Only black. The drone didn't send or receive a signal. The equipment was dead, but the wire stayed loose and unattached. The crank was turned around. It was carefully and slowly wound back up, but it didn't find anything. Don't use a drone. Not a camera. Again, nothing but quiet. The group moved away. They were scared, not because they had failed, but because they knew they had seen something that shouldn't be there. They went back to base. They looked over the video, one shot at a time. Every shadow, every flash, each flash of light. They improved it, kept it steady, and slowed it down. What they found wasn't just weird either. A blink in the darkness changed everything. It only lasted a little over 10 minutes before the feed stopped, but it didn't need to be longer. The team had to rethink everything they thought they knew about Mel's hole after seeing what they brought back. And when the video went viral on the internet, it didn't just get people interested. It went off. The video looked calm at first glance. The camera on the drone got the smooth descent, the stone wall smooth curves, and the strange silence. As the story went on, though, things got weirder frame by frame. The temperatures were the first thing that raised an alarm. Readings made it clear that the sensors were working because they dropped so quickly. It was freezing cold, where, according to science, the temperature should have been rising with depth.